It has been a while since I heard that music. What's up, everybody? Welcome into Let's Talk Live here on the LTL Media channel. We're in the middle of a massive blizzard out here. I'm sure all of you are getting whacked by the snow. I just looked out the window a couple of minutes ago, and I heard a guy down the street with his leaf blower that thought he was going to attack and get his driveway cleaned up. I'm like, buddy, the minute that you turn around, it's going to be right there again. So anyway, I hope everybody's well. Make sure to charge all your devices. Get ready for this because I think we're going to be in it for quite a while. I'm hearing like Monday night by 7 it's supposed to wind down, but who knows? But very nice to see everybody. I haven't done a live stream in a while and actually working on some content for the channel. And we're going to get into the Tully IA file today. And I actually just produced a great video. If you guys haven't seen that, go over and check it out on my channel. I dropped it this morning at like 9 a.m. It's doing really well in the algorithm. And I appreciate y'all coming in and checking this out. Nice to see AV here. AV, what's going on? He said, fuck the snow. I know you're down in the South, and I'm sure you guys are a complete mess down there. I remember a couple of years ago in Atlanta, they had that huge ice storm, and people literally got out of their cars and walked home. They were stranded on the highway and they walked home. So it's pretty crazy. Mary, nice to see you here. Nice to see you here. Got a lot of channel members in here. Christy said she's staying warm here in central Illinois with all the snow and the cold temps. Yeah, you guys get whacked up there too. I'm seeing Michigan, the Upper Peninsula is getting really like whacked up there too. So good stuff. Nice to see everybody here. But let's get into this. We have a little while of this live stream today. We're going to go through Tully's IA file, his testimony. We've done this before with some table reads. And of course, I got to bring in the special guest to do this along with me because it went so well last time. But your one and only favorite attorney here on the LTL Media channel. Let's bring in the great and the awesome Nan Gallagher. How are you?
I'm great, Brian. How are you?
I'm great. How's are you getting whacked here with the snow out in Jersey? What's going on?
Oh yeah. I think it started here earlier than in New England, and we're getting clobbered. There's probably every bit of 8 inches already.
That's
so
what she said.
Not enough.
It's funny that you said that because I was seeing some clips that were going viral where some of the weather, the weather ladies are going, oh, send in your accumulations or whatever. Send it, and people are just trolling the chats, and she's like, I'm talking about your snow, not your junk, but it's good stuff.
I love it. I mean, I'm not really looking forward to having to clear this at some point, but for now it's good to be snowed in.
Do you hear the snow blowers and leaf blowers going yet or what?
Yeah, they took a tip from Lieutenant Gallagher, not any relation, but yeah, I hear it's very effective in clearing snow.
Yeah. I had a guy, like I said, earlier. I'm like, dude, it's not going to work. So just go back in your house for now and deal with it later. All right, let's get into this here. So the other day I acquired the Tully IA file. Again, I made an announcement about it that I had it here. I was going to be, putting things together, releasing it on the channel. It takes a little time for me to do it because I work. Like I have a full-time job. So to go through all these exhibits and, see what I see and cross-reference it with, Karen Reed's trial material and all the, the things that we've gone through and talked about. It takes me a little while to go through it. But I did a great video this morning talking about the ESS evaluation reports. And if anybody hasn't gone over and see that, please check it out because it gives a lot of relevance to the testimony that we're going to read through here today. And you're going to hear a lot about that because, knowing the disgusting text messages that were going on with Proctor and his, the Three Stooges, and they knew about this. These reports were after, and they were given high ranks, like outstanding, compliance, and they're actually shielding all of the behavior that's going on between all of them and what's going on in the department. So if you haven't, go check out that video. Like I said, it's doing really well in the algorithm right now, and I appreciate that. Nan, what are your thoughts? You checked out the video. I gave you kind of a sneak peek of it last night. But it gives a lot of it opens up a lot more doors behind the scenes to things that we weren't seeing, and especially things that were left out of the trials.
Oh, yeah. First of all, thank you. I guess being a bestie gives me some preview perks, and I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed that video, and I thought it was extremely well put together. But in addition to that, the fact that there's any law enforcement giving high ratings for these behaviors or just looking the other way is so startling to me. It really doesn't even lend any faith in these reviews, these performance evaluations whatsoever. That was always something I was wondering about. Like, if these officers who were any officer who's supervisory doing reviews of lower level officers' conduct, behavior, manner in which they comport with the Constitution. I'm looking at this going, why would they be saying that? It all ties into escalated salary that these
Oh
officers are
yeah.
to vacation time, time off. It goes into the formula for their pensions once they get a certain number of years in. So all in all, it's extremely disturbing. And we really started to see it when you had officers like Buchanan and I think Fanning
Yeah.
giving thumbs ups to certain texts that Proctor was making about Karen Reed. So, shining a light on this, performing really diligent FOIA requests and analysis of these types of reviews is so important, because now, hopefully in the future, officers who are conducting them will think twice before they simply rubber stamp and say, yeah, this officer is a great guy. No, especially up there, none of the officers involved here have clean hands.
Yeah, and then given the situation of everything that you see that they did to hide this information and the conduct of this, these officers and signed off on those reports, and then you look at the actual discipline that they got, I mean, it doesn't mirror anything that they used as far as covering up,
Right.
this behavior of these officers. So, yeah, and Mary has a good point. She says, this just ain't their first rodeo. Absolutely. I completely agree. Completely
Right.
agree with that.
And this can be used in other pending criminal matters and ones that aren't filed yet, ones that maybe were dismissed, or where defendants were convicted previously. These are all things that could develop a subject of appeal. So that's why this is really vital to start looking deeply at these things.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so let's see this. On July 12th, 2024, Lieutenant Tully was notified that he was going to be a subject of a internal investigation, being aware of potential misconduct involving, Brian Tully, which occurred in the month of May 2024 at an unknown location. Detective Tully failed to appropriate corrective action concerning inappropriate text messages between members of the department and failed to appropriately review and evaluate performance of those members. And then you look at July 22nd. This is the official announcement to Tully. And he says, as indicated in other correspondence, the department has identified you as a subject of an official personal investigation being conducted by the Office of Professional Integrity and Accountability. This investigation was initiated by the following receipt, request for personal investigation, and so on. So that was his official letter there. What I want to get into is we've done a really good job at this last time is this table read. And the nice thing is that this is not an 86-page document.
Oh my
So we
God.
might actually, be able to get through this in under, I would say probably 2 hours, an hour and a half. But why don't you do this? I'll be
Yeah,
Tully if you want to be Blanchette and any of the lawyers, and we'll go through this. Can you see it okay on screen?
I can. And
All
to
right.
your members, I gotta put my blue light blockers on.
Right.
But yes, and I will thank you for doing that. But
No
also,
problem.
it's really important to highlight here. These are the words. There's no spin. This is it. So I'm all in. So I'm all the
On
officers.
the record. It's on the record. So you're gonna be Blanchette,
Okay.
I'll be Tully, and if you want to be any of the lawyers, because I know they're gonna kinda chime in here through this document,
All
we
right.
can go into that too. So
Let's do it. All
take it
right.
away.
Today's date is Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024. The time is 11:16 a.m. This interview is regarding Office of Professional Integrity and Accountability case number blank and is being conducted at Work Bar Needham with the following address. The name of the complainant is Major Keith M. Egan, ID number 2733. The commissioned officer in charge of this investigation is Detective Lieutenant Michael J. Blanchette, ID so-and-so. The commissioned officers conducting this interview are Detective Lieutenant Michael Blanchette, ID so-and-so, and Detective Lieutenant Jeremy Sweeney, ID so-and-so. The department member to be interviewed is Detective Lieutenant Brian P. Tully, ID number 3520. Please state your full name, rank, ID number, and present assignment.
Detective Lieutenant Brian Tully, Tully 3520. I'm the unit commander for the Norfolk State Police Detective Unit.
Do you understand that this interview is being recorded?
Yes.
Do you understand you are a subject in this investigation?
Yes.
Are you familiar with the department's policies and procedures?
Yes.
Are you familiar with the department's rules and regulations?
Yes.
Do you acknowledge and understand your rights regarding this interview?
Yes.
Do you understand that you are required to answer all questions truthfully pursuant to Rules and Regulation Article 5.27?
Yes.
Do you have any questions prior to this interview?
No.
Other persons present are Attorney Timothy Burke and Attorney Jerry Burke. Attorney Burke corrects him
Jared.
to
Yep,
Jared.
Jared Burke. Yep.
Jared Burke, do either of you have any questions prior to this interview? No, we're all set. Thank you. Okay, DLT Tully, if you don't mind just signing the bottom of this, today's date, month, and year, and sign it at the bottom that you acknowledge and understand your rights regarding this interview.
What's today's date?
23rd. All right. Prior to this interview, we discussed that if at any time you need to take a break, just let us know. We will pause recordings. Or if you need to consult with your attorney, then we'll again pause the recordings. And ultimately, when you've had enough time, we'll resume the interview and return to recording the interview, okay? Okay, now the interview starts.
Yep.
How long have you been employed with the Massachusetts State Police?
18 years.
What RTT graduate from?
79th.
Did you have any prior law enforcement or military experience?
No.
Can you give me a brief history of where you've been assigned with the Massachusetts State Police?
For the first 6 years, I was in the field service in Millbury, Foxborough, and Milton. I was transferred to Norfolk SPDU in 2012. I stayed there through promotions of sergeant and lieutenant, and I was appointed unit commander in November of 2021.
And what are your duties and responsibilities as the unit commander of the State Police Detective Unit assigned to the Norfolk District Attorney's Office?
To oversee the administrative duties of the unit.
And are there other personnel that are attached to the unit as well?
There's one unit, yes. There's sworn members within the unit.
Okay. And can you explain the breakdown of supervisors and troopers that are within the unit?
I have an executive officer, Lieutenant John Fanning. In homicide section, I have one sergeant, Yuri Buchanan, and there's a narcotics section who is supervised by Sergeant Keith Panzazellos. Thank you. And then we have another group. Panzazellos. We have 2 open supervisor spots on our org chart that cover computer crimes and sexual assault. And then we have an open homicide sergeant spot on the org chart.
By open, you mean vacant?
Let's see. Vacant.
And who ultimately fills those roles at this time?
Lieutenant Fanning and Sergeant Buchanan.
And how many troopers are assigned to the unit?
Troopers 13, I believe, currently.
And how many troopers are assigned to the narcotics section and the homicide section, and where do they fall with the supervisors?
There's 4 troopers in the narcotics section that fall under Sergeant. I'm gonna get this wrong all the time. Sergeant P. I'm just gonna say P. I don't know why I'm having trouble with his last name. Everybody has weird last. Just have a normal last name that people can
Agreed.
pronounce.
Take it from a Gallagher. Yeah,
Yeah,
Sergeant P.
there are 3 in this computer, and I just called it a computer crime, sexual assault. They reported Lou to Lieutenant Fanning. Let's see. Currently, there are 6 troopers assigned to homicide. Sergeant Buchanan is direct supervisor for, I believe, 4 of them, and Lieutenant Fanning is a direct 2 of them. They also have someone from unresolved case units who is attached to the office.
And that particular individual with the unresolved case unit, do they also help supplement as a member of your unit?
It's a new arrangement. They report to DT Robinson, and we're still trying to figure out their roles, but they're working Norfolk unresolved cases.
Okay. Do you recall who was assigned to the unit on January 29th of 2022, which was the date of the death investigation of Mr. Blank?
We know who Mr. Blank is,
Mhm.
right? Yes, which is very weird that they redacted that.
I agree, and weird might not even be the right word. Almost like they don't want to tie this transcript to O'Keefe. They don't want to tie this transcript to Karen Reed's case. I mean, it's quite possible the redaction of it was done for a nefarious reason.
Mhm.
Yeah, honestly, it's a matter of public record. There were millions of dollars of taxpayer monies associated with the double sham prosecution of Karen Reed. So this is smelling of a little bit of a cover up to me. Um, all right. So you answered yes.
Yes.
Who was assigned to that unit then?
You want everyone in the unit at the time.
If you can recall.
And I just want to recognize this. Thank you so much, Making Changes, for becoming a new YouTube member. I appreciate that. Me, Lieutenant Fanning, Sergeant Buchanan, and on the homicide side, it was Trooper Dave DeChico, Trooper Koskowski, Trooper Proctor, Chris Moore. Came in the next day and transferred on paper. That's all I can recall on the body side. And let's see. And on the narcotics side, there was Sergeant P. I can't say his last name. Trooper Brian Sullivan, who's no longer with the unit, and I believe Kevin Tufts was assigned to the unit at the time. I think that it was the drug unit, and then it was computer crime, sexual assault. Trooper Kathy Prince, Trooper Nick Garano, and Trooper Connor Keefe.
Okay. For the body side or homicide members, would it just be them that it would be assigned to death investigations, or would there also be some cross or supplement from the narcotics members and computer crimes?
Let's see. Everyone inside Trooper Prince is on the call schedule. So narcotics kicked into the weekend rotation for unattended deaths. Anything suspicious would be assigned to the homicide person.
Okay. And when Trooper Michael Proctor, first transferred into the unit, were you the unit commander then?
No.
Okay. What I'm going to stop saying okay. That's highly
All
annoying.
right. Yeah.
That happens a
I'm not
lot.
going to do the ums and ahs. I'm going to try to get through that.
Yeah, which by the
Yeah.
way, though, it's sometimes unusual for a court reporter to transcribe all the ums and ahs. Often they're trained to
Mhm.
cut that out, which is leading me to think that Tully was nervous. Because and
You
here I
think?
am doing but for that to make its way to a transcript, you don't always see that. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't.
Mhm.
What was your position at the time that Trooper Proctor first began in the unit?
I think I was a trooper, the rank of trooper.
Do you recall what year he came into the unit?
I want to say 2018.
Don't
Yeah,
guess
Bert.
if you
No,
don't know.
it was interesting. I don't know.
And when were you promoted to sergeant?
2019.
And then when were you promoted to lieutenant?
July of 21.
And then you became the unit commander in November of 21, at which time you were promoted to detective lieutenant.
Yes.
Had you ever worked directly with Trooper Proctor when he first began in the unit as a trooper?
We were both troopers in the unit.
Did you work cases with him or did he shadow you for investigations?
Yes.
He didn't answer. He answered
All right.
both of those questions.
Said yes.
Prior to becoming the unit commander, did you ever directly supervise Trooper Proctor?
I'm trying to think of when I was sergeant, who my direct reports were. I don't know. I don't recall if he was. I don't think he was.
How about Sergeant Yuri Buchanan? Do you recall when he was first transferred into the unit?
I don't. And then Burke's going to say sorry.
Were you troopers together as well?
Yes.
And did you work with Sergeant Buchanan back then on cases that you can recall?
Yes.
Did you ever directly supervise Buchanan?
I don't recall if I did.
Was Trooper Proctor assigned as the lead investigator for the death investigation of Mr. O'Keefe, which is now not
Isn't that
now not
why?
redacted?
Yeah, that's so weird, right?
Mhm.
That's strange. Yes.
Was that something that you assigned?
The on-call schedule gets generated a month in advance, and whoever's on the call for the date and the call comes in would be assigned to the lead investigator.
And
Excuse me.
was Sergeant Buchanan assigned as the direct supervisor for that investigation?
Much like whoever the on-call person is, the on-call supervisor for the week would be supervisor for the case if it comes in while they're on the call week.
What was your role during that investigation?
I'd received a call shortly after the initial call came in from Sergeant Buchanan. So we were in constant communication from early in that morning. I ended up responding out to the scene.
Who kept you informed of the status of the investigation and how was that communicated to you?
At what point?
From the beginning and for the days to follow.
Sergeant Buchanan.
Was Ms. Karen Reed subsequently identified as a suspect in this investigation?
Yes.
Were you aware that Ms. Reed's cell phone was seized?
Yes.
Do you recall who seized her cell phone?
It was during the interview that night. It was either Sergeant Buchanan or Trooper Proctor would be the singular person to do it, but they were there during the interview.
Were you aware in advance that they would be looking to seize her cell phone?
Okay. No, the development I lost my spot for a second. Sorry. No, they
That's okay.
developed information during the interview that resulted in the seizure.
Do you recall whether there were any issues with her cell phone, such as a delay in accessing her cell phone?
It was password protected. We were able to access it immediately.
At some point, did you become aware that Trooper Proctor looked through her cell phone?
Yes.
Do you recall when this occurred?
August of 2023.
So the invest was January of 2022?
My apologies. Yeah, it was August of 22 when we were able to access the phone.
And do you know how that access was accomplished?
That was
Kind of
Burke. Yeah, Burke says accomplished. Looked like he might have cut him off. Was accomplished. Thank you. Burke says sure. Answer from Tully. We have Gray Key, which is a software that attempts to bypass passcodes for iPhones in the office. It attempts by brute force entry, so it continues to try different combinations. We had it hooked up, and it took several months from the time of the seizure when we got the warrant attached to it. It took long for the software to accomplish to break the password.
During that investigation in the summer of 2022, August of 2022, were you aware that Trooper Proctor, Sergeant Buchanan, and other members of the unit, including Lieutenant John Fanning, Trooper Jeffrey Kotkowski, Trooper David DeChico,
Yeah, it
sorry,
says DeChico, which is maybe said it wrong.
they're kind of helping each other.
Yeah.
And Trooper Chris Moore, were part of a group text message thread that had inappropriate communications during that investigation?
Yeah, real quick, I just want to get this. Ann's asking 7 months. Yeah, 7 months sometimes to break codes because it's basically just running an algorithm of possible password calculations to try to get into a phone. So it does take some time to crack it. And good on Karen to say, fuck you, I'm not giving you my password.
I
Have
wouldn't.
fun.
Not to give legal advice to your audience, but I would never give my password.
No, fuck
If
that.
if any law enforcement wants my phone and you show me a valid warrant, you can have
Right.
it. That's the extent of how I'm helping you.
Yeah. See you in a year when you fucking get it open. All right, so Tully says no. We're on line 24.
Was it common for SPDU Norfolk members to utilize group text messaging?
Yes.
Can you explain how they would utilize that
To send messages to multiple people at the same time.
and the purpose?
I can't really testify to how other people use their cell phones or messaging.
Was this
Hmm.
hmm, yeah, sure you can. Was
Yeah,
this
right.
was this something that you also communicated in group text message threads through the unit?
Yes.
What was the purpose of those?
Quickly share information among multiple members.
And would that be through work cell phones that were provided by the Norfolk District Attorney's Office?
For other members, I don't know how they use their phones. Oh, very, very interesting here. Yeah, Mr. Tully. Yeah. Okay. All
Were
right.
you were you issued a cellular telephone from the Norfolk DA's office?
No.
Have other members in the unit been issued one?
Yes.
So what is the process to get a phone from the district attorney's office?
Yeah. What is the process? So when someone
Exactly.
transfers, they get in the option to either get one, and that sets up through the fiscal department of the DA's office. And who's, I'm sorry, I hit your cue, line
Oh,
four.
man. Oh, and it's funny because I was thinking in my own brain, while before I read line 4, Brian, um, I think it's quite notable that he didn't have a phone through the Norfolk DA's office. I don't think that was by happenstance. There may be some intentional reason why that happened, like, to perhaps make his communications by cell phone somehow once removed. I'm
Mm,
interested, I'm gonna talk to you offline about some further questions that I might have on that,
yeah.
that may need to be asked. Okay, line 4. Who is the contact through the DA's office for that?
Deb Leahy, and I just want to get to this really quick. Natalie commented when we talked about giving up passwords. She said, "See, I would have. She would have gave her password. I'd be scared and would do it. Good advice, though. I don't plan on getting arrested ever.
Hey,
So yeah, fuck
Natalie.
them. Let them try to, you know, crack the code. Don't give them anything. Take
I
the advice of
agree.
your lawyers.
And on that point, and again, not giving legal advice, but
Right.
many times a subpoena or a warrant is going to ask for, and it's usually in the form of a warrant. I want to be clear, but it will ask
Right.
for the phone. Doesn't ask for the password. So many times people unknowingly, as they feel naturally threatened by and I don't mean threatened in a bad way, but you feel threatened by the presence of law enforcement asking for something, "Give me your phone," but that's all the
Right.
warrant asks for. It doesn't
Yeah.
ask for the password, so
Yeah.
it's good. I'm happy, Natalie feels that way.
Yeah.
Where
So,
are we?
yeah, fuck that. Don't listen, I'm not giving legal advice either, but they come in for your phone, be advised by a lawyer. Don't say anything, don't give passwords, don't give them access to your face if you're doing the,
Mhm,
the biomechanical or whatever, biometrics. Say, "No, talk to my lawyer first." So,
I agree.
um, yeah. So Attorney Burke says, "Did you say Deb?" He says, "Deb." Line 9, sorry.
Not all members opt to get a work cell phone.
Correct.
Are you aware if Trooper Proctor had a cell phone that was issued by the Norfolk District Attorney's Office?
He did.
And are you aware if he also had a personal cell phone?
Yes.
And in your group text message threads that you would be involved with, would you be in threads that also had Trooper Proctor in them to discuss cases?
Yes.
Would that be through his personal phone or his work phone?
I don't know.
When it comes time to upgrade these work cell phones, do you know how often those upgrades occur?
Multiple years in between.
And Trooper Proctor was recently relieved of duty. Is that accurate?
Yes. Oh, here we go.
And at that time, he turned in his work cell phone. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Do you know if that was his work cell phone that he used back in August of 2022?
I don't know.
And when there is an upgrade that occurs with these work cell phones, are you aware of the process that the member goes through in order to turn in that phone, where it goes to, and how they get reissued a new one?
I am.
Can you explain that?
The IT director or Deb Leahy would contact the member to say that they're up for renewal and facilitate an exchange of a new phone and retrieval of the old phone.
Who's the IT director?
Howard Wong.
Do do you know what they do with the old cell phones that are turned in?
No.
When did you first become aware of inappropriate communications that were part of this group text message thread involving SPDU Norfolk members that were ultimately used in court proceedings?
Following Trooper Proctor's federal grand jury testimony in February of this year.
Hmm. I'm sorry, I'm just thinking for a second,
Yeah.
Brian. I'm wondering how he found that out. In other words, grand jury proceedings are sealed. They're secret. So I don't know what he meant by that. Maybe we'll probe a little deeper, but Tully didn't get just a free pass to find out what Proctor testified to at the federal grand jury. So I'm just filing a little mental note.
Oh, you're going to
Little
talk a
mental
little
note
bit
in the
about
back of my mind that
you're going to
maybe
talk a little bit about it further here, Nan.
are
We'll get
oh,
to
are
it.
they? Oh, okay, okay. I didn't do my homework. I only did part of my
Right.
homework last night.
Yeah. It's
Um,
fine.
all right.
We'll
So
get into it.
February of 2024.
Yes.
Who informed you of that?
Trooper Proctor.
Ooh. Okay. And what did he inform you? What did he inform you as far as the communications?
Stated that the communication involved him using the word cunt. I don't want to get striked. Cunt, disparaging comments about Miss Reed appearing and looking for nudes in her cell phone data.
And when he apprised you of those messages, was anybody else present?
No.
Where did this conversation occur? Was it in person or over the phone?
Over the phone.
Was this directly after his testimony?
Within a couple of hours.
You're talking about testimony in the grand jury?
Okay, I'm sorry. So Burke chimes in. Now they're going to ask another question. Trooper Proctor's testimony at the federal grand jury, and Tully's going to answer yes.
And was
So
this
within hours, Nan.
what a wow. Wow.
Under sworn secrecy of the federal grand jury, you're already talking to your buddies about it.
Yeah, it's really problematic when things get leaked from a grand jury proceeding. Um with with this information, what did you do?
I immediately reprimanded him for the content of the messages, discussed how it was unprofessional, and then subsequently contacted Major, I think it's Copenrath, who was in my chain of command in DIS to inform him of the messages. Fucking, I'm gonna tell you, Tully fucking ran because federal grand jury testimony. He's probably just like,
Yeah.
I'm out of here now. I'm gonna throw
Well,
everybody under the bus.
that would track because really there was a cascade of, so this was 2024, I think this
Right.
testimony was. So they needed him, and by they, I mean the Commonwealth needed Proctor for trial 1.0. But once everything started coming to light, they he was the scapegoat. They cast him aside.
Right. But, here it is, and I want to pull this up. Here's the report, that the evaluation report, and that so February is the testimony of the grand jury, but yet 2 months later, there's these evaluation reports that are going out and saying that Proctor is outstanding. He's a law-abiding MSP officer, and then you look at the end, who signed off on it?
Mhm.
Tully.
Does this instill trust, right? Or
Seriously.
even competency? One of the reasons why officers, and I'm sure at some point Todd McGee can speak to this, but one of
Mhm.
the reasons why officers are promoted, and as you heard earlier in this transcript, Tully
Reports.
received promotions over, a couple years later, and he kept getting promoted. But one of the duties and responsibilities and expected characteristics of a higher ranking officer, including DLT Brian Tully, is that he has a minimum level of competency in evaluating a lower level law enforcement officer's abilities. And if that was the evaluation and there were no strikes given, no commentary of a negative nature, I wonder about his competency in being able to assess. I really
So you
do.
have, again, we go back, you have February 2024, Proctor's brought in under the federal grand jury and asked these questions about the text messages. And then 2 months later, you have these evaluation reports that come out that are covering the behavior that should have been disciplined during those. He said, I verbally disciplined them. Yeah, we just read his testimony. I verbally disciplined them. I went to Major Copenrath. I reported this. This was my chain of command. But then 2 months later, you have evaluation reports that are going to affect probably salary, pension, benefits, and you're putting these good conduct reports out for stuff that has already been testified under the federal grand jury that you were literally involved with someone in a case that you're calling them these disparaging and disgusting things in text message, and saying things about her attorney as well.
Well, it's interesting as you're talking about this and we're kind of organically analyzing what we're reading, I'm making notes on more
Yeah.
FOIA requests. Which, I won't announce on your stream because we wouldn't want to give anyone else ideas. Not that I think they would go out there and
Well,
actually
it's my
FOIA
next grift. It's my next
FOIA
grift
for
here.
themselves.
It's
But
my
the
next
point
grift.
is, I'm making a running list because this timeline in and of itself is prompting more questions that I have concerning Tully. So it's great to do this because it helps to kind of unveil
Mhm.
not only the hypocrisy, but what appears to be a level of disturbing favoritism, and just a absolute ignorance of bad behavior, which is systemic in the Norfolk County DA's office and the Massachusetts State Police.
And then,
So,
I agree, and Natalie says, "Should have been a write-up, not just verbal, in my opinion, written documentation signed by Proctor." Exactly, and then,
yeah.
like, if you watch my video that I put out this morning, and I said, Tully signed off on most of these evaluation reports, and there are no comments from any of the officers. There's no signature, there's no comments, there's no nothing in any of these documents. So,
Yeah,
it's very interesting.
we have a saying well, it's not just in my field, but we often do say, like, if it's not documented, it didn't happen. I mean, you
Mm.
can see that in the HR field, you can see it in the legal field, the medical field, which is like one particular area of practice that I like to focus in. But if it's not written down, then there's like plausible deniability as to whether you've even disciplined someone or critiqued them. So I agree with you, Natalie.
Natalie
That's right.
says, "If it isn't verbal, it doesn't really exist. I learned that from my husband."
Yeah. Yeah, you got a smart husband there. Now I've forgotten what
We're at line
line.
16, yeah.
Yes, sir. Okay. And when you speak with Trooper Proctor reprimanding him regarding these texts as being unprofessional, was that during the same conversation over the phone?
It was over the phone, and then I went to his house and met with him. It could have been either one, I'm not sure.
But did you go? Pardon me. Okay.
Yeah,
All right. But
that's
did
all
you
right.
go to his house at some point after this conversation?
And then Burke says, "Excuse me."
Oh, I
Uh,
didn't. So funny. I didn't even see that.
yeah,
And have additional conversation about this.
yes.
Can you explain how that conversation went with Trooper Proctor at his house?
Again, described his testimony in front of the federal grand jury. He went over those topics I talked about and the use of disparaging words, comments about Miss Reed's appearance, and then looking for inappropriate materials on her cell phone data. We discussed, I was displeased and angry with the fact, excuse me, that those me and that he sent those messages, and that was the topic of the conversation.
Was anybody else present?
John Fanning was there for this period.
Did Trooper Proctor expand any further on additional text messages?
No,
Were you aware of who else was involved in that text thread
no,
at that time?
no,
Do you have any conversation with Lieutenant Fanning about those text messages as well?
yes.
How did that conversation go?
We discussed how that had happened, that we were there, that we were both unpleased and displeased or angry that they had occurred. Yeah, sure you were.
Were you aware that Lieutenant Fanning was part of that group text message thread, or did he indicate that?
All right,
There's
Burke's going to
check.
object here.
Were you aware that Lieutenant Fanning's contact was contained within that group text message thread where these inappropriate text messages were sent by Trooper Proctor
When?
at this time?
No.
When you
All right. Sorry. Let me just, I want to scroll up and then I'm gonna pull this up. Steve says, "Hey, see, I don't believe it's ignorance. It's willful admission of proper behavior not documented. It didn't happen." Completely agree, Steve. Pretty Eyes says such a bunch of BS. And then Natalie's responding to Steve and says 100% on purpose. Yeah,
Yeah, and I have a question, more of a comment in relation to those comments from your chat because
sure.
I'm I'm wondering out loud if that visit to Trooper Proctor's house was was documented at all. Like even
Ah,
if
it's so
the
weird you said that.
substance of that meeting wasn't documented, I don't know, and maybe someone like Todd McGee might know, but would some type of interventional visit to a trooper's home, at
Mm,
which time he's engages in a discussion, discipline of any sort or reprimand of any sort takes place, if that has to be documented, because it right now just seems like we're supposed to take, and the taxpayers, of which I'm not, are supposed to take Tully's word for the fact that he went to Proctor's house and had this discussion. I'm interested to know if Trooper Proctor would agree with Tully's memory of that visit.
yeah, and that was it's so funny that you said that because I was thinking this. I'm like, they had to have. I mean, there should be documentation. This is probably a disciplinary, type of meeting
Mhm.
that they're having. But again, do you trust any of these guys? I mean, look, February, like, we go back to February 2024, Proctor's under federal grand jury testimony. 2 months later, we have these upstanding evaluation reports. And look, now Tully's going to say, I became aware of this in March. So a month, and then I want to just fast forward again. A month later, evaluation reports are being handed out with outstanding ratings. I want people to understand kind of the track of what I call the three stooges.
Mhm.
They continuously covered up behavior, and this is all again. I mean, these reports, they're probably quarterly reports that get lumped into a yearly report, and this is going
Mhm.
to affect things like salary, benefits, pension, and probably Todd can speak a little bit more to these. I'm going to send this stuff out to him and say, hey, what do you think?
And one thing that may be overlooked by people interested in this case and the collateral corruption that abounds it is that this type of testimony, right, that we're reading right now, plus Fanning's version, plus
Mm,
Proctor's version, these are all key facts, and I'm not saying they're true facts, but this is testimony set forth as facts that if they contradict one another, if there's any conflict in what Proctor, Fanning, and Tully maintain on even this issue alone, like what was the reaction to this inappropriate text messaging, that all ties into Karen Reed's civil rights action. So these types of testimonial proceedings that are coming forth
Gonna
with
help.
good, absolutely,
Mhm.
because she will then be able, she meaning Karen Reed and her team will be able to say, this was collusion here. This is a cover up. We're looking the other way at bad behavior. And really it doesn't just affect her. It affects other people who live within that county who may be adversely affected by this type of corruption. So this is so important for her civil rights action. I can't state that enough.
Yeah, I see Duck says, in a real union, heck yes, it would be documented. It's part of the discipline steps. Absolutely. And that's why, like, I think it's very important to get these documents and go through them because it helps our audience and the public to understand, things that we might not see that's disclosed in the civil trial. These testimonies will most likely go into evidence at some point. And this is, like you said, it's just going to help and empower Karen's civil case because again, they can just go back and the lawyers say, look, federal, like what we've just been talking about, federal grand jury 2024, Proctor's there, has this discussion with Tully. Fanning becomes aware of it in March, but he's part of the text chain, so he was fucking hiding things. And then all of a sudden, in 4 months later, you're getting these evaluation reports that are getting outstanding markings for the conduct of these officers, saying that they're on the up and up, they follow policy and procedure, and they don't fall into any type of disregard or
Yeah.
any serious acts towards people that they're either investigating or coming in contact with. I mean, this is all solid stuff that needs to be out there and discussed, and most, like I said, most likely be brought into Karen's civil case. Go ahead, Nan. I'm sorry.
And even if, let's just assume for a minute that the higher level administration of the Massachusetts State Police or the Norfolk County DA's office, let's assume that they are beyond reproach and good acting players in all of this, functioning members of society,
Mhm.
accepting their pay, doing a great job. They need to have been able to rely upon evaluations from people like Brian Tully
Mhm.
to give them accurate, truthful
And
feedback.
Buchanan, he was a supervisor
Yeah,
as well. He signed
if
off on those reports.
yeah, if you've got bad apples, like it's hard for me to try to suspend belief and say, okay, let's assume, the DA's office is above reproach. Let's assume the Massachusetts State Police is white as the pure driven snow.
Mhm.
But you need to be able to rely upon people like Tully, Buchanan, Fanning, whomever to give feedback that's accurate. It would have spotted Proctor, and he's not the only bad apple in my view, but it would have been able to spot him sooner, and other people's, including Karen's and others, constitutional rights wouldn't have been trampled upon. But
Mhm.
it's this brushing it under the rug and patting each other on the back and giving thumbs up emojis to text messages that is insidious to not only the geographical area up there, but I mean it's everywhere. I mean, it's not just germane to Massachusetts.
Yeah.
So I find this
Yeah.
really interesting.
Yeah, and then you look at the fact now that, they start talking about, well, Proctor's the one that gets caught, and it now seems like Tully, especially in this, is now, oh, I ran to my supervisor and now
Mhm.
he's backpedaling. He doesn't want anything to do with this because, federal grand jury, FBI, feds, DOJ, that's his whole thing now. So I kind of feel like he's just throwing Proctor under the bus, like, here, have the sharks take the meat at this point. I don't want any part of this anymore. Mhm.
It's probably very, very uncomfortable for all of them right now,
I'm sure.
waiting
I'm
for the
sure.
other shoe to drop.
I'm sure.
All right, so what line are we
Uh,
on?
so we're on You said question when you, so in February, this is when we met, this, I don't know. I did not know.
When did you ultimately learn of that?
I became aware in March.
So this conversation with Trooper Proctor at his house occurred prior to March of 2024.
Yes.
When you went to Trooper Proctor's house, about how long after the phone conversation with him in February 24 was it?
Let's see. 24, was it an hour or two?
Okay, same day?
Yes.
When you spoke with Major Copenrath, was that also the same day?
The following morning.
Was there any information that Major Copenrath had for you regarding those texts?
He didn't provide any information to me, no.
Were you able to review those text messages
No, when?
at that time
February?
in February of 2024?
No.
When was the first time that you were able to review those text messages?
And then
Do
Attorney
you mean
Burke's gonna step in here. Yep.
physically see those text messages? Blanchette then asks, "Did you ever see those text messages?
No.
Were those text messages broken down to you in a conversation with anybody else other than Trooper Proctor?"
Uh, maybe overreaching here. Yeah, I think he says, "I'm maybe overreaching here." It's probably what he said, and they translated it wrong. I
Yeah.
have a signed I Here we go. I have signed a non-disclosure order from the federal court regarding the materials that were turned over that was gathered during the federal investigation and what was subsequently turned over to the Norfolk DA's office.
Hmm.
This non-disclosure allows me to just disclose that I've signed the non-disclosure. I cannot talk about the parameters of the non-disclosure, nor can I talk about anything that was contained within the.
Excuse me?
Yeah, yeah.
Could you just restate only because
And
I'm
then
recording and it's not going to come through?
yeah, I'll try to remember where I was at. I signed the non-disclosure. I cannot disclose the parameters of the non-disclosure. The non-disclosure here is regarding the materials that were turned over from the federal investigation to the Norfolk District Attorney's Office through the TUI process. As far as the dates and times, it's kind of this line of questioning, and I'm just trying to tread lightly to satisfy my requirements for rules and regulations, but also honor the NDA. Wow.
And when was that NDA signed?
I signed it on March 7th.
And I want to make a note of that date. Pardon me. Okay. And that was through the US Attorney's Office?
Yes.
Who was the assistant US attorney?
And Natalie says, I just want to pull this up. I thought it was funny. She said that was a lot of word salad. Yeah, exactly. To get around the signing of the NDA. Let's see. Ruby says, nothing substance to add to the combo. Just wanted to say it's all good to see your faces today. Stay safe, everyone. Thank you, Ruby.
Me
I
too,
appreciate that.
Ruby.
Thanks for the $5 super chat. I really appreciate that. I hope that you get some value out of the stream. Things that other people should be doing. All right, so we get into question. He says, who was the assistant U.S. attorney? So he said, I signed through the NDA through Laura McLaughlin from the Norfolk DA's office. She's facilitating that aspect of it. I'm unsure she sent it to the U.S. attorney's office.
Are there other members that are also part of the NDA?
Yes.
Do you know who?
Colonel Ma, Deputy Pinkham, Lieutenant Colonel Connors, and members of the MSP Legal.
And that NDA is still in effect today?
Yes.
You spoke to Major Copenrath about this information. Was there anybody else that you spoke to about this information?
I spoke to Lieutenant Colonel Connors. I don't know what date. I mean, consistently, this is the time period. I don't know if I called, talked to DCAP Collins about it. I knew Lieutenant I keep saying well, I'll just say Connors. It was expressed that he wanted me to talk to them directly, mostly because he signed the NDA and it's not involved any other members kind of in this situation. Nan, you know what I wanted to say?
Yeah.
Didn't you just say the other day that you had a dentist appointment?
Yes, why?
No, I was just saying, how did that work out?
How did my dentist appointment work out?
Yeah,
Um, great.
yeah.
What?
Because your
Well,
smile looks your smile looks beautiful, and I just wanted to compliment you. But the funny thing about it, that there's probably someone watching the stream right now that should actually seek out a dentist. So smile, buddy. Actually, don't smile because I don't want people to be exposed to that disaster inside your mouth. So anyway, let's continue the conversation.
it's
I think
interesting.
we're on line 8.
It's interesting you say that, just paying a little bit of attention to one's smile actually makes a big difference.
It
But
really
thank
does.
And I guess on that point, yeah, also asking people with money to help pay for veneers
Yeah.
might, yeah. Anyway, I digress. What line are we on?
Line 8,
Line 8. Was that by phone or in person?
both.
So prior to signing the NDA, did you have to see Lieutenant Colonel Connors prior to or Major Copenrath prior to that NDA being signed?
Yes.
During these conversations, what was discussed about these text messages?
About what I knew about them at the time, which is exactly what I had shared. I didn't learn anything really new between the beginning of February and March when the NDAs were signed when I got the material from the federal government. So we talked about those messages, who I knew to believe who were on those messages. I didn't have any specific information. Lieutenant Connors, excuse me, and I did talk about the messages and who may have been on them.
And in order to decipher who was on those messages, were you provided a copy of those text messages that you were able to review as part of the NDA?
No.
How are you trying to decipher some of those numbers or contacts?
Prior to my signing of it, I had met with Lieutenant Connors on March 6th, I believe, the day before I signed it, and we were just talking in generalities about what I knew at the time, and I was strictly conjecture about who may have been on them, but I knew that it was not them, so I made Lieutenant Connors uh, know that. He said knew that. I think they probably translated it wrong.
Yeah. Did you author a to from letter or document through any written means of your conversation and ultimate meeting with Trooper Proctor at his house?
No,
See, this is what we were talking about. There's nothing,
nothing.
nothing, it's like if a tree fell in the woods and doesn't make a sound or, that
Yeah,
anyone.
Anne has a great point. She says, "So Tully can talk about the grand jury stuff, but not the NDA stuff. Seems selective."
That's
Absolutely.
a good
A good
point,
point.
man.
Very
Yeah.
good point.
He seemed very, very capable to explain his lawyer canned answer, which is I can talk about the existence of an NDA, but not the subject of the NDA. But he can't remember or document or talk about anything pertaining to what was really discussed with Proctor. All right. So I think we're on line 21.
That's right. By the way, let's go Patriots. Yeah, absolutely. I
I
can't
am
wait.
unable to utter those words as someone from the New York metropolitan area, but I respect everyone. Have fun watching it later. Make some comfort food, and I'm assuming, by the way, that game is not home, right?
No, they're in Denver.
Okay, all right, yeah.
Yeah,
Because I mean, I've seen football in the snow, but this is going to be kind of epic. All right.
right.
During your testimony at trial, ADA Lally asked you about what you did when you were made aware of those text messages, what you did. And you testified that you had a long discussion with him, Trooper Proctor, expressed your displeasure at his unprofessionalism and the content of them, and that you reported them up through your chain of command. We just discussed that. All of that is accurate.
Yes.
And
Burke's gonna say sorry. Why would he
when
say sorry? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. And when further asked, was he admonished in any way? You responded that he was by you in that conversation. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Is there anything further as far as admonishing Trooper Proctor beyond having that conversation?
He's been relieved of duty and suspended without pay currently.
Mm, convenient, but he
So he
does.
wasn't
I mean,
making it,
that's a
yeah.
non-answer, because nothing happened to him at the time. Now that
Right.
they're caught, suddenly he's suspended and relieved
Without
of
pay.
duty.
Right.
Did you take any other action to to admonish him beyond that conversation?
I reported it up to my chain of command.
Did you have any discussion with Sergeant Buchanan about his text message responses in that group text message thread?
No.
Were you aware of those text message responses?
After I signed the NDA, became aware of who was on the messages, but it was preclude from discussing the NDA.
Were you aware after the NDA of what the content of those messages were?
I was read summaries of them by ADA McLaughlin.
Hmm. Interesting.
I'm
Just
making
an
notes.
meant, yeah. Summaries of texts. Okay. Um.
Are veneers expensive? That
Oh,
expensive?
well,
Can they get really costly?
they can, but you know, can really improve one's aesthetic, so to
Well,
speak.
maybe the money that was donated could have been used towards that to fix the rot mouth that was going on.
I can't comment. I can't. I
Yeah.
will not comment. Um, what line are we on? Let's see. Or okay, line 6. I could no, that's you. Line 8. So you
Yeah, go ahead.
so you had become aware by being read those messages, but you did not physically review them yourself?
Correct.
And that also includes Trooper Proctor's text messages?
I thought that's what we were talking about. Oh, little snippy from Tully.
I'm sorry, that includes both Trooper Proctor and Sergeant Buchanan's text messages.
I'm only aware of messages that were authorized by Trooper Proctor.
Just clarifying, I know I'm a little confusing here. Sergeant Buchanan had some responses to Trooper Proctor's text messages, and you were aware after the NDA of those responses that Sergeant Buchanan also had?
I'm aware, yes, a response.
Okay.
And then Burke's going to say a response, a single response. Yeah.
And,
Line 4.
and which response was that?
Let's see. Like to comment of Trooper Proctor's beginning to digest the data of Miss Reed's phone.
Yeah, so he's saying they're alike to a
Mhm.
comment,
Right.
which means
Yeah. He's
Tully's acknowledging
Buchanan's. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
the thumbs up emoji.
Yeah.
But but you but did you have any discussion with Lieutenant Fanning about the inappropriate text messages and what he did about them in that group message thread?
No, because I was precluded by doing it by the NDA with the NDA. Mm.
I don't believe that, by
So
the way.
you'll talk about federal grand jury testimony,
Yeah,
but now
but in
the NDA is,
NDA,
yeah.
right. When did you learn that Lieutenant Fanning
Bullshit.
was a part of that group?
When I was read in by law by ADA McLaughlin,
And that was, do you recall when was that? Or when that was?
subsequent to my signing early March.
Subsequent to learning those text messages and who was included in the text message thread, did you have any further conversation with any of those members about the inappropriate text messages contained within that thread?
Which members?
Of the involved members that were part of that thread?
And Ann says, and Christy says, I call BS. Ann says, Tully only got mad when at Proctor for getting caught.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see. No, I couldn't. Line 2.
And why couldn't you?
I was restricted by the federal court order that I had signed. I can only speak to other people who had signed the non-disclosure. Okay.
That's a load of crap, by the
Yeah.
way. And by the way, beyond the NDA, just so your audience understands, if Tully, and I don't know where his duties and responsibilities began and ended of a professional nature. However, if Tully had a duty or responsibility to intervene and actually speak with Buchanan and or Fanning about any conduct that they engaged in, that is what he's paid to do. So any disclosure of the federal grand jury minutes or transcripts or any NDA that was signed pertaining to them does not impede Tully's independent responsibility to start going at these officers and saying, I can't discuss what happened here, but I can certainly tell you I'm aware of things
Mm.
that may or may not have been exchanged in text messages. And I won't go into what those are because I'm limited. But from what I understand, you did not comport yourself in a manner that is conduct becoming of an officer. He could have said that and he didn't, which means that he's a complete absolute creep. He should have done his job. He didn't do his job. And he's going to sit here and blame it on either some type of limitation under TUI or some NDA. And that's does not instill confidence, in my opinion. Now, they may or may not be opinions of this channel. I think you may agree, Brian, but you can't sit here and put trust in an officer like Tully, who's going to sit and say, well, I was limited in doing my job because of this NDA or any type of limitation under TUI. It doesn't fly with me.
And
Someone
it's
just
gonna and right here, it's gonna wrap a bow on everything that you just said. And this is everything that I was talking about, those EES reports. It's
yeah.
right here. This is the section that's gonna prove everything that this guy was fucking covering for everybody. Line 10, Nan.
Line 10. Did you
Right
write
here.
a negative EES or make note for Sergeant Buchanan regarding his text message response to Trooper Proctor's inappropriate text messages? Or
No. So
and
there you
let me
go.
oops, sorry.
So I was just saying, there you go right there. Why didn't you?
Right. And you can't, like, I look at this like tunnel vision. If Tully was
He's gonna
simply
use and he's gonna use the NDA. Watch. He's gonna use the
isn't
NDA of why he didn't say it.
and I think your audience and people who catch this on a replay are smart enough to know, like, this is a clear sign. Wow, the snow's really kicking up.
It is.
This is a clear sign that Tully was very, very heavily prepped by his lawyer.
Mhm.
He's going to hang everything on a legal document like a non-disclosure agreement and say, I was limited. I couldn't do that. That is absolute BS. Now, to be clear, if I were Tully's lawyer, I would have told him to do the same thing. I would have said, say you were limited, you couldn't do it because you signed an NDA. But there's a nuance here, and I'm definitely interested in what Todd McGee may ultimately say about
Mhm.
that, because no non-disclosure agreement, which is a separate contract, none of that would ever limit what Tully could do as his own professional responsibility. That
Right.
is independent, for which he is paid taxpayer dollars. And you can't say, well, I signed this form, so I'm just going to ignore what I know about Buchanan or Fanning because I'm not allowed to do anything more as to them. It's only
Right.
related to Proctor. All right.
And real quick, Karen, I see your comment there about the free hats that I gave out like 2 weeks ago. I've been seriously overwhelmed and busy with work. I just this Sunday I got done shooting for a long documentary. I'm gonna have time to get to the post office this week. I'm literally looking at them wrapped up in the packages off to my side. I just got to get them out. You will receive it. I apologize, it's been a little late. I had some hats made, Nan,
Oh, I know. I
that I
was watching.
yeah, I didn't like them. I just didn't like the way they fit on me. So I'll just give them back to some of the subscribers on the channel. So we did a free drawing, and I'll get them out this week. But
I would like, by the way, I entered that drawing and I was
yeah,
bummed that I didn't win,
yeah, I'll
but
get them out.
I think I've earned it. I've earned
Oh,
the
thank you,
right to get
Karen.
some LTL media merch. I would like something. So
I have some shirt. I think I have some shirts somewhere. Get your shirt. No problem, Karen. I'll get them out this week. I just like forgot. I apologize. Look at this. Beetle says to healthy teeth and gums and quality content. Thank you for the $2. I love that.
I
And
cannot
Mike,
stress, by the way, the importance of dental health and mental
it's
health.
dental and mental health. I like that. And having a driver's license is very important too, to get around because
Wow.
you never know when you
Absolutely,
might need a
Mike.
driver's license. So
Absolutely. All right. I digress. So I'm going to go with line 19 here. Did you write a negative EES or make note for Lieutenant Fanning for failing to take corrective action as a supervisor regarding those text messages?
I love sometimes the comments are the best.
I
No, but
know.
I gotta go up here just to line 18 because he says, no, because I couldn't because of the NDA. And then
Oh,
he's
okay.
gonna say the same reason I couldn't. No.
Yeah. If I were up there, folks, I'd be really mad that you've got Tully saying a contract, an NDA is why he couldn't make any note in his system or take any disciplinary or corrective action
Yeah.
because of an NDA. That's ridiculous. And these guys, these creeps just keep on doing their job, which is substandard, trampling on someone's constitutional rights, whether it be Karen Reed or anyone else. I mean, by the way, let's not forget many, many, many months ago, gosh, year plus ago, I've lost track of
Mhm.
time. You had at least Buchanan, I can't remember if Tully was involved, going after residents for rubber
Yeah.
duckies
Yeah.
and knocking on doors and telling people, what are you doing with this, what are you doing with that? These are officers who needed to have been reined in. So gosh, that was a long time ago, but let's not forget that's what happens here, and their records don't show this kind of interventional disciplinary commentary.
Was
So
never put on the ES reports.
mhm.
Never. Never documented. It was just always a free pass.
Yeah. So
Um,
their
all right.
conduct looks unblemished. All right.
Exactly.
Were you
24.
ever
Yep.
were you ever aware of whether Trooper Proctor or any of the other SPDU Norfolk members had inappropriate text messages in other investigations?
I'm not aware of any.
Were you aware or did you ever authorize Trooper Proctor to go out with a Canton police officer, Kevin Albert, for alcoholic drinks while driving his issued department cruiser after working on a cold case with him?
No.
Was it customary or did you ever authorize SPDU Norfolk members to utilize their department issued cruisers to go out for alcoholic drinks after work?
Never.
And what was the SPDU Norfolk policy regarding the members' AVL switches in their department issued cruisers?
And then Burke's going to chime in, says, can we say we just, when we use the acronym, just for the record, so you can state what it is. And then the question is automated vehicle locator. Burke's going to say, all right. And then the answer is pursuant to the letter that I believe the DA had signed, an understanding of the department of the member is to have the AVL switch as as they depart their residence to denote the time, several minutes, several miles. It can be then switched off. They're on DA time, so to speak. If they're doing investigations under the umbrella of the district attorney's office, like a death investigation upon towards their home, they can turn it back on to mark their arrival home. So several minutes, several miles prior to that, they can turn it back on. It needs to remain on overnight. If they're working for the MSP detail, the MSP department overtime, it needs to remain on.
So when you leave your house, it's on several miles or minutes into the commute. Turn it off while on DA time. After DA time is over and you choose to go out to dinner before heading home, are you required to turn it back on because you're no longer on DA time?
Mikey's getting whaled up on the North Shore right now. Stay batten
Be
down,
safe,
Mikey. It's
Frank.
coming.
Be safe.
He says, no, you're not required.
So they're just required to turn it back on when they're several minutes away from their homes?
Yes.
But that's so disturbing to me. I will never, by the way, buy into any argument, Brian, about that. Like many times, I've heard I've read articles and I've heard law enforcement say, well, we do that to protect the privacy of
Mm.
our confidential informants, or the
Or where
integrity of
we live.
where
Yeah,
we live, our
right. I
families,
think
the
that's what
integrity
Proctor
of.
uses as an excuse in his IA report.
Yeah, and they've said, like, it protects the integrity of, investigations or our confidential informants. That's total BS. What
Yeah,
they're doing with that AVL system shenanigans up there is running secret ops or personal, errands on time that is paid
company
for
time.
by the state, county, local, or
Right.
otherwise, and getting away with it and just giving an excuse.
And keep in mind, this is not just the Massachusetts State Police. This is happening through all
Yeah,
across the nation. I'm sure it is that all of
yeah,
this stuff is happening in these departments.
I agree. Okay, line 25. Would there be a log note made for each time that the AVL is switched off, or is that just the general understanding? So it's long
Excuse me.
standing, basically?
General understanding from the agreement between the DAs and the department back when the AVL switches were installed.
I just want to show you Trooper Proctor's latest eval report, and this is
Yeah.
for the eval period end date of April 1st, 2024, and it was published on May 10th, 2024. Does that look familiar to you?
Yes.
Could Burke says, could we just see it for a second? Do you have another copy for us?
Mhm.
Yes. So regarding this latest evaluation report, did you serve as the reviewer on this evaluation?
Yes.
Did Sergeant Buchanan, excuse me, and
Yep.
Sergeant Buchanan is the rater for this evaluation report?
Yes.
Did you have a reviewer rater meeting about these ratings?
Yes. Interesting.
Did you fairly and objectively consider each of these ratings and were in agreement with the ratings that were submitted by Sergeant Buchanan regarding Trooper Proctor for this evaluation report?
Wow. Yes, within the COVID again, I was under the NDA and the knowledge that could have been gone into this EES report, but I was preventing us from using it, even discussing it at the time. So again, using the NDA as a crutch, hiding the particular behavior that went on. He knew about this back in February of 2024 when he talked to Proctor just after the federal grand jury and the DOJ talked to him. And then here we are. He gets notified in March, and then the evaluation report is written a month later, and they get outstanding ratings. This is fucking criminal cover up.
It
I
it
mean,
abs it absolutely is. Like, seriously, this is one of these things where, like, a good timeline, just looking at a timeline would be very revelational to me. Like, the bad conduct, alleged intervention with a good talking to at Proctor's home, and then the eval report. Like, that's absolutely stunning to me. That's one of the reasons also why I really enjoyed your video. I thought you did a great job at laying it out there. If
yeah, I
anyone
mean, it took
hasn't
me a
seen
while to
that, you
go. It
should.
took me, yeah, it took me a couple days to go through everything, and I wanted to make sure and fact check everything and make sure everything was in order before I put that video together. I mean, I spent 2 days putting, editing and put all that together, and the voiceover. It's a lot of work to do a video. Just ask my editor, AV. I mean, if I don't know if he's in the chat still watching, but tonight we're gonna get on a session. I'm working on another video right now, and excited to drop that pretty soon. But it just takes time to go through this stuff. I listen, I work a full-time job, like, and I try to do all the other things that a lot of other people that have no job should be doing and gathering this material. And it's such a leg up for their channel. Like, it's an advantage, like if they just put a little effort into it, they could get this stuff, but they just wait, for someone else to grab it. They play it on their channel, and it's just the easy way out. I like doing the hard work, and I love bothering the MSP. I love bothering Josh Riley. He must hate taking my phone calls, but I call I have him on speed dial. I'm constantly calling him saying, like, hey, where's the documentation that you promised me? Or where's the body cam footage that you said you were going to get to me 3 weeks ago? I enjoy doing that. I enjoy rattling the cage. That's why I do this. And to get the information out there to a lot of people that we didn't have that advantage of seeing this during Karen's trial. This stuff is very important. And to go back to our earlier point in this too, is that this helps with Karen's civil trial. So you guys
Oh,
can
yeah.
know, that the subscribers can know, and the people that might come across this video, in a quick minute and just say, hey, what's going on over here? You might not see all of these exhibits in Karen's trial, but you know that they're there. And this will help bolster her civil rights action case against the department.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. And, it's just the amount of work that you put into this, and then just getting it out there. And I do want to make one comment before I hop back into this transcript.
Yeah.
Um, I don't care as a consumer of content, and I dare say most of your viewers don't care when or how you put this information out there, whether or not you dump it all right away for everyone to gobble up and just take it, cannibalize it, and spit it back out, or whether you do release it in a more measured and controlled format. As someone who consumes content, sometimes it's better to enjoy the rollout of information. I know I do. And the problem is for people who criticize you, if that happens, that just get it out there, let it all drip out there quickly. Here's my issue with that, Brian. Once you do that, the great mass of people who are interested in this, they're going to want more. They just want more. What's the next thing you're going to do? What's the next thing you're going to do? Sometimes a measured rollout of information is a better decision for one's channel. One last thing, which is anyone who cannibalizes content like this and snipes streams and takes it and soaks all of this up and steals your quote unquote milk money, as nothing more than just a schoolyard bully, or schoolyard bully, as you guys say up there. What does it say about them? What are they doing to
Nothing.
nothing?
Nothing.
So,
And
honestly,
that's my point in this, is that they have the advantage. I'm not the guy that walks in circles and steps in my dog shit all day. You
mhm,
have the advantage right now. Like, you should be doing this work. You should learn how to do FOIA requests. You should learn how to call people that are legal representatives at the Mass State Police and hound them for this. I mean, you would have a huge advantage on your channel, a
yep,
huge advantage over this, and I give positive praise to the channels that do content like this, the Young Jerks, Canton Chronicles, and other people that have these nightly discussions and break down stuff like this and go through these documents and see the different angles that, that may not be talked about, that there might be some other things that you can itch and scratch and get in there and say, wait a minute, let's take a look at this, you know?
if you gotta look at if you look at someone's YouTube channel and look at their lives for the last 30 days. And I'm being generic when I say this. And 90% of it is members only and petty related content behind a paywall. And there's a small, I mean, minimal handful of actual content that's coming out. And most of that content that does come out pertains to really just kissing someone's ass. I think that says more about that particular creator, than the hard work you're doing. Honestly,
Well,
um,
listen, like Law Talkers, and I just get this up, $10. She says, when they
yeah.
say no one cares, we all care and we remember. And then she says,
Mhm.
they say four is, well, then fucking do it. Prove me wrong.
Yeah,
Put the work in. That's what I just say. Let the work speak for itself.
that's
Do the
right.
work. I mean, you have the advantage over me. You guys fucking sit home all day. I work. I
Yep.
do 40 plus hours a week. And then I do this stuff because I love doing it. I love, getting in there and fucking shaking, rattling the cage. This is stuff that you guys should be doing. And I get criticized for it. I just think it's funny. It's really funny. It's comical. And I know he's watching right now. I know he's watching.
Well,
Maybe he'll go step in some dog shit later on. Because we never see him pick up his shit. And it's kind of fucking gross. But anyway, let's get
all
back
right.
to what the audience is here for.
We've given him enough, him and
Yeah.
them enough attention
Yeah.
for the day, but
Go see a dentist, buddy.
I concur. All right, line 7.
Yes.
And looking at the first section for the criteria of knowledge, compliance in application of policy and procedure, rules and regulations, statute, law, orders and directives, Trooper Proctor was rated as outstanding. And outstanding shall be issued when the results consistently surpass an exceptional level of competency. In light of what came out in court and what you were aware of, obviously through the NDA, do you believe that this is an accurate description of Trooper Proctor's compliance in application of policy and procedure, rules and regs, statute, law, orders and directives?
Real quick, the Kim, thank you so much. 15 pounds watching over from across the pond today. Says thanks, Brian and Nan. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. It's my line 20, correct?
Yes.
I don't agree with the premise of the question because in addition, here we go, to the NDA, I was also witness list for the trial and I was sequestered. So, well, I think maybe on May 10th, when it was published, he may have where the hell are we? We may have been okay, testified. I don't know that had come out in court because again, I was sequestered, so I don't know what the occurring in that courtroom at the time. So given the two caveats, that is why I approve that's why I approved the 5. And now that we sit here today, I would. It is not a 5 and as we sit here today with the knowledge that I can talk freely and I know to be in the public realm. See, this is fucking backpedaling 101 right
Well,
now.
back to Natalie Diana's comment before. That's a bunch of word salad. So you've got
Yeah.
Tully blaming it on an NDA, and then he was sequestered for the trial. He knew everything that was going on, and you can't backtrack. And what's the saying? Put lipstick on a pig, or
Yeah.
make a silk purse out of a
Veneers
sour
on
beer.
veneers on rot mouth, whatever you need to do to pretty it up, right?
Exactly. So ultimately, like he's got egg on his face. He really does. There's no excuse for the 5. He knew better. Okay. And would you have that same response to section 2 for follows oral and written direction of supervisors and specifically for the criteria that Trooper Proctor's electronic communications were courteous and professional?
I would have said the same answer, yes.
And the third section regarding initiative and dependability, would you have the same response that Trooper Proctor was conscientious and responsible in the performance of his duties?
I have the same answer.
And looking at the fourth section regarding interpersonal relations, he received an exceptional rating. Would you have the same response that for the criteria that Trooper Proctor conducted himself professionally in all engagements and served as a resource and role model to the public and treated all citizens with dignity and respect?
I would have said the same answer.
And the last section regarding investigative ability, the comments attached say Trooper Proctor has had a high profile caseload with a lot of high end pressure from external sources during the entire life of the investigation and subsequent court proceeding. He handles himself in all his cases with utmost professionalism and competence. He is able to investigate his cases thoroughly with strict integrity, even with unwarranted and unsubstantiated accusations from the defense attorney on the case. Do you have the same response with the criteria that Trooper Proctor's communications for investigating Ms. Reed's cell phone? That no nudes so far. Funny, I'm going through this, or his retarded client's phone is accurate with this section?
While I would had
With professionalism?
I would have had the same regarding professionalism. Yes. I would have to say that he was a great investigator, but their unprofessional comments are the ones you just read. And that is narrow for this section. Yes. 5 is not appropriate.
Okay. Um,
Oh, sorry.
his attorney, okay, so Burke says, and may we just clarify for the record, yes, the portions of this that you've read are not the words of my client. Correct. These ratings, these ratings were submitted by Sergeant Buchanan and approved by Detective Lieutenant Tully. and
He
that's
says,
you, the
okay.
line
Yeah.
10.
Tully says, okay. But
I
again,
and I've oh, yeah.
He's signing off on this. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
I don't care who said it. He's approving it.
Yes, we consider that in the legal field as adopting. So the higher level individual or supervisor, in this case, Tully, by signing off on it, he's adopting the findings of Buchanan and therefore adopting the actions, conduct, behavior of Proctor. So once he's quote unquote signed off on it, it it's his. These are his, meaning Tully, Tully's own opinions. Otherwise, he would not sign off on it. But you see Burke, the attorney, kind of coming in here trying to play, smoke and mirrors with these weren't my client's
Right.
words. Okay.
And if we even
Um,
just back up in that
yeah,
section that we went through,
right.
Tully was definitely guided by his attorney through
Oh,
that. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's what attorneys are there for. They're there to protect their clients and to kind of split words, parse them, try to do their best to make sure their client doesn't get himself or herself into trouble. But you can't prevent the fact that he signed off on it. And I see that comment there from
Yeah.
IC Ducks. It's a copy and paste. It's for all the buddies.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we got about 10 more pages to read. I hope everybody's enjoying this live stream today. It's been very eye-opening for me. I want to thank Nan for getting up and doing kind of these table readings. We have a lot of fun doing them and going through this and discussing this testimony. And, please subscribe to LTL Media if you haven't. I would appreciate it. Make sure to smash that like button if you're in my chat right now. But if you like content like this, come over and hang out on the LTL Media channel. I would appreciate you can come over here and subscribe and get these type of live streams.
And
So, all right, let's
also,
keep.
in
Go
in
ahead,
in
man.
addition to that, what else would anyone on the Northeast audience be doing on a snow day like today? So, I mean,
Seriously,
I find this, I mean, I'm actively participating. It's very fun, but I can
yeah,
tell you, having been a passive participant on your streams, like this is a great way to become very informed on subjects,
sure.
that I otherwise wouldn't have known about.
And that's
So what
LTL Media. You can find me on YouTube, and I'm also on X as well too. You can sub up over there. So come find me on YouTube, LTL Media. All right, so where are we at? Line 11.
And I have one more eval report for Sergeant Buchanan. I'll give you some time to review that.
And then Burke says, okay.
So
So go ahead. Yep.
the report that we are referencing is the latest eval report on Sergeant Buchanan with the eval period end date of March 31st, 2024. And it was published on May 6th, 2024. And going to the first set of criteria regarding knowledge, compliance, application of policy and procedures, rules and regulations, statute, law, orders, and directives, did you serve as the rater on this evaluation for Sergeant Buchanan?
Yes.
And who was the reviewer?
Detective Lieutenant Detective Captain Collins.
And did you have a reviewer rating meeting about these scores?
Yes.
Was Detective Captain Gerald Collins in agreement with you for these ratings that were submitted for this evaluation report for Sergeant Buchanan?
Yes.
And referring to that first section, criteria regarding knowledge, compliance, application of policies and procedure, rules and regs, statute, law, orders and directives, Sergeant Buchanan received a rating of outstanding. And in light of everything that has come out in court, do you believe that this is an accurate rating for Sergeant Buchanan?
I do. I've spoken to him about his messages that came out in court. He knows upon the rules and regulations and understands the laws and regulations of the Commonwealth.
Okay, that's an interesting point there for everyone to appreciate, because suddenly now this is post trial 1, if I got the date right. So post trial
Yes.
1, when former disgraced Trooper Michael Proctor, it all kind of was laid to bear that he was acting unprofessionally, and I would say as just an absolute disgrace.
Dick.
That post trial 1, when and after a decision was made to retry Karen Reed following a mistrial, when they would have absolutely still at a minimum needed Buchanan and probably hadn't yet made a decision not to call Proctor, who never was called as a witness by Brennan in trial 2.0.
Right. Good point. Yeah.
Here you have Tully saying under oath that Buchanan is an absolute consummate professional. Now that he knows full well what was in those text messages, and he would not have changed his rating. So I just want everyone to understand where that
That's
was
a good point.
in the timeline.
And I want to thank Jacqueline. I would just real quick, I want to thank Jacqueline for the Cash App. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Where are we at? 20.
20. As a supervisor for Trooper Proctor, do you feel he meets an outstanding rating for this section?
Yes.
And in the second section, the follows oral and written direction of supervisors in light of what came out in court, do you believe this to be an accurate description and rating for the criteria that Sergeant Buchanan was courteous and professional with his electronic communication response or responses to Trooper Proctor's text communications?
Is the question part of the section for ESS?
Yes.
And then he says, Burke's going to ask, can you show it? I think it's on page 2. And then Tully's going to say for which, and then
regarding
the question.
It'll be follows oral written direction of supervisors, and page 2 will have the continuance of the criteria, and towards the end of that section, written communication proficiency shall be demonstrated via reports that are prepared in accordance with department format and do not contain spelling or grammatical errors. And then the next section below is email and other forms of electronic communication shall be courteous and professional, adhering to the aforementioned written format guidelines.
That's the following. Oh, okay. Answer. That's the following section. He says, yes. I'm the question you asked me about Farrell's oral and written directions of supervisors and has a rating of outstanding. And speaking of oral, please make sure to brush your teeth on a regular basis, because if you don't, you could get rot mouth. I mean, you literally could get rot mouth, and you don't want that going on. So we'll go to question 4, line 4.
I stand corrected. That is oral communication. So scratch the follows oral and written direction of supervisors and proceeding to the third section of oral written communications. Okay, so
and then Burke's going to step in. Yeah, just to clarify, does the department regulations refer to those communications as official Massachusetts State Police communications, as opposed to those between members of the department and unit that are not official of the department requires communications, because there's a difference? It's going to say just asking. Burke's going to go back. I'm just asking. Actually, I'm directing it to you, Lieutenant. Oh, back and forth with Burke. All right. I'm directing the questions. Question. I'm sorry. Line 23.
Thank you. Lieutenant Tully, in regards to his evaluation report for Sergeant Buchanan.
And then Burke's going to go, okay, I guess to the point I was just trying to make, that there's a distinction here between what I believe the department requires communications and the official communications that require this adherence to the rules versus those personal communications, which not be held to the same standard of conduct as to those department required communications. That's the point that I was asking. Line 9.
Do you believe that, Detective Lieutenant Tully?
I do.
Do you believe that, Detective Lieutenant Tully?
He says, I do, but I also, my understanding of the ESS section is required his communication. And Sergeant Buchanan was always professional and courteous. While I agree that he may have been a witness on one of the subordinates not acting the same way, Sergeant Buchanan has always been professional with all his communications. And I stand by that rating of 4 for his section for his communication. See, the reason I think that this is going on, they know Proctor's gone at this point. So he's got to save face with Buchanan, and he's got to fucking cover for him, because they're going to continue to work together. So he doesn't want any tension.
They got to continue to work together. By the way, Brian, are you hearing a delay in my transmittal? We're getting clobbered with snow here. The
No,
connection is
you're all right.
good?
You're a little choppy, but
Okay.
we only have what, 6 more pages to read, maybe 6 or
Okay.
7. We'll get through it.
But I agree with you. Proctor's gone, and in addition to that, like I was saying before, they need at a minimum, the Commonwealth needs Buchanan. So
Right.
Buchanan has to be the one with the
On
gold
the up and up.
star.
Yep, yep, on the
Right.
up and up.
Any
Mhm,
any level of critique that would have come out by by Tully at
mhm,
this point in the timeline before trial 2.0 would have been seized upon by Alan Jackson, David Yannetti, and the entire defense team. So that he's got to be the golden boy, so to speak. By the way, one other point I would make is as you were reading leading up to line 21 or so here, all of that back and forth with the attorneys,
yeah,
that's a clear sign that the attorney for the attorney for Tully is
yep,
trying to kind of deflect.
yeah,
He's absolutely trying to just interrupt the rhythm and flow.
yeah, is it
And
personal or professional communicate? Yeah, he's trying to,
yes,
yeah,
you
exactly.
know,
Krista
and
says I
that's
go
oh,
ahead, I'm
sorry,
sorry.
go ahead. I was
Nope.
just gonna say that's a clear indicator that like once you have an attorney start giving speaking objections or to put these grandstanding statements trying to differentiate something on the record, that's a clear sign that A, he knows it's a weak spot for his client Tully. B,
Right.
he's trying to signal to Tully and hint or suggest an answer to him. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, and it's Krista says, I enjoy hearing both you, Brian and Nan doing these readings. Nan's legal input as always helps in the understanding. Maybe I can get Todd to come over and do the next one that we do one of these, when we do one of these again, I can have him come on and kind of
That's
give
great.
his, because he knows the department. So I mean, he can kind of give like, ah, this is bullshit, like
Yeah.
I'd love to hear his take on this too.
And
All
thank
right.
you to
So
Krista. That was very
yeah,
nice.
we're on. Thank you, Krista. I appreciate that. And Rosemary saying she's really enjoying this too. I appreciate that. Line 19.
Even for the liked
Um,
comment.
yes.
And moving on to initiative and dependability. In light of what came out in court, do you believe that this is an accurate rating for the description of the criteria that Sergeant Buchanan
Oops,
was
sorry.
conscientious and responsible in his performance of duties as a supervisor for Trooper Proctor?
Yes. Wow.
And if we can look at the next section for interpersonal relations, do you believe that Sergeant Buchanan's rating of outstanding is accurate for the criteria that members must conduct themselves professionally and in all engagements and serve as a resource and role model to the public?
Yes. And I was speaking to him. This is like about what he believed and what he was liking. Yes.
Okay.
And again, I want to pause here for a second. This is all good stuff for Karen's civil rights
Yes.
case.
And that's I would reemphasize to anyone watching, like, this is another reason why in the civil litigations, whether it's the defense of the wrongful death action that has been filed in the civil court in Plymouth County against Karen by the O'Keefes, against Karen and the dram shops or the bars, the Waterfall, CF McCarthy's, the prosecution or advancement of the civil litigations against all of the different public entities up there, Massachusetts State Police. I think it's the Norfolk County DA's office, all of the individual House defendants. That is so important. If anyone wishes to make a donation to Karen's civil litigation funds, I know that there's a readily available link to do so, and I'm letting you all know
Yeah.
my
I'm going to
personal
drop it right
view,
now.
and I think that it's one of I know that it's one of Brian's in this channel, that every dollar matters, and it will lend itself and lead to ultimate transparency and answers that so many people want to know. So very, very important. It doesn't stop with a criminal acquittal at this time.
Yeah. And
All
her
right.
her defense fund right now, I just posted about this today. It's actually just cusp over $60,000 today. So I thank everybody. I know that, her and her legal team, I don't want to speak for them, but I'm sure that they thank everybody as well. And we really appreciate all the donations that have come in um to helping her defense. And, just going back to just what we talked about, I mean, Tully is literally rubber stamping Buchanan's behavior. He's approving it. They even asked him, "You're okay that he liked this comment about the no nudes?" And he's like, "Yeah." I mean, basically, yeah, because and this goes back to, having to have Buchanan ready to be, the up and up guy if he's used for, court testimony, and obviously he was. So, all right, so we're on line answers. This is okay because I do not believe that he was liking anything regarding the nudes. There's right, and then he's questioned these. So go ahead. Says, so do you speak? I'm sorry, I'm reading your line
That's okay.
17.
So did you speak with Sergeant Buchanan about his comment?
Following the trial, yes.
And if you could explain that a little further.
He stated that he had liked the comment, his recollection that he was on detail and had read the message and focused on the fact that later, and Trooper Proctor was going to have to be able to digest the information, and that he was liking what was the fact that was being accomplished.
Now that's word salad.
That's bullshit.
Just I gotta interject here. What Tully is saying is that he's excusing the
Yeah.
emoji, the
Like he
thumbs
was
up.
like, oh, he was just on detail, probably doing some work. He looked at it really quick. He liked it. And that was in the sense of the progress that he was making.
Right.
Bullshit.
I agree. Bullshit. And
Bullshit.
you can't put it this way. If officers receiving state dollars are going to take such a casual approach to text messaging, whether it's on state issued cell phones or their own personal cell phones used to conduct state business under color of state law. And that's the verbiage that will be utilized and is being utilized in the civil rights actions. It's under color of state law. So whether it was Proctor's personal cell phone or Buchanan using a personal cell phone, that doesn't matter. But if officers are going to take such a relaxed, casual, and lazy approach
Right.
to liking and only reading part of and liking part of a text, but not really adopting all of the text message, that's a real problem. It really is. I do think that the Karen Reed case is setting a benchmark here for future text messaging that will or may not ever be conducted by law enforcement moving forward.
It's quite possible, yeah.
So,
line 8.
Thank you.
Oh no, I'm sorry, line 5.
And that conversation happened prior to this eval report, or was it after?
After.
Moving down to the next section of supervisory skills, he received an outstanding rating. Do you believe that that's accurate for the criteria that the member must effectively communicate performance standards to maintain a disciplined unit, which achieves its goals and objectives? And the member must accept responsibility and be accountable for the performance of subordinate members under his command.
I would revert to my answers regarding Trooper Proctor's EES and the fact that I was subject to the NDA and under subscription from the trial. I had been precluded to using certain bits of information. I exercised that for my assessment of Sergeant Buchanan, and then he would be a 5. If I had the ability to use the information, it would not have been a 5 any longer.
And then moving on to the last section here of leadership, motivational skills. I can't see anymore, my friend. Thank you. Thank you.
Gotcha. Sorry.
Where did I go?
Line 1. Leadership, motivational skills.
Leadership, Motivational skills. Sergeant Buchanan received an outstanding rating. Do you think that that is accurate for the criteria that the member must promote open communication, recognize positive performance, and provide corrective action to subordinate personnel?
I stand with that rating. Let me just get this. Natalie, thank you so much for the 20. I appreciate the super chat. She said, I never heard Brian's accent until he said department.
Natalie,
Thank you.
I have to interrupt for a minute. When I speak to Brian, and we talk about this case and
Yeah.
all of its related tentacles, he'll say department. He'll say other words with that hard sound in it, and I love it. I love hearing it, and he doesn't realize it. I don't think you realize it, Brian, but
Well, I
it's
did live in Hyde Park.
Hyde Park. Yeah.
When
I
I was a
love it
kid
so
growing
much.
up, I lived in Hyde Park.
Department. I love it.
Department.
All right.
So now we got
We're
Blanchette that's going to ask Sweeney, do you have any questions? Sweeney's going to say, I have one follow-up. So now we're going to switch to Detective Lieutenant Sweeney.
Sweeney. Okay. You said that you're now assigned an officer from the unresolved case unit. When did that come on board with you guys?
It was Trooper Goskowski. He was transferred really on paper and formerly a member of the unit just on paper, is under the command structure. I don't recall when that happened within the last year.
So at the time of the blank case, he was just a member of the homicide unit. He wasn't in the unresolved case unit.
I'm going to say Reed case.
Oh, yeah, I think it's Reed.
Why are they?
I imagine it's the Reed case.
Doesn't make
So
any
you're
sense
at
why they're
you're at line 23.
correct. Yep. Yep.
That's all I
And-
had.
Okay. And Blanchette's going to say Attorney Burke. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry. Jinx. And
Yeah.
Attorney Burke, do you have any questions? Can we
And
go
Burke's
off
going to say, can we go off the record for a second? Sure. The time is 12:13, and we're going to pause this interview. And at this time right now, we're back on the record, 12:19 p.m. We're resuming the interview of Detective Lieutenant Tully, DLT Tully. And did you have enough time with your attorney? Oh. So the attorney had to talk to Tully. But what about?
And I don't know if we're going to get into it here in the next little segment, but I can tell you it is highly unusual for a witness to have an opportunity to speak to his or her attorney during the pendency of sworn testimony. That signals to me that this is either there's an informality to this hearing, to this sworn proceeding, or that there's a subject matter that is going to come up where everybody agreed maybe you should talk to your attorney first because there might be consequences from what you're about to be asked. So I don't know, but it's highly unusual that they would have had an opportunity to talk. In fact, we as attorneys are told you can't talk to your client during the pendency. You can talk about the weather. You could talk about the Patriots game coming up, but no particulars.
Right. Boston Brandy says, off the record.
Hey, Brandy. Yes.
Hey, Brandy, how are you?
Okay. So the last questions would be, is there anything else that you can tell us regarding this case that could bring the state police into further disrepute?
No.
Is there any other information out there that we need to know about that could be released to the public, such as any further inappropriate text messages that you're aware of?
No.
Attorney Burke, do you have any questions?
We do not.
Okay. DLT Sweeney?
I do not. Blanchette, all right. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Is there anything that we didn't ask you that you feel we should have asked, or is there anything that you would like to add or feel that is important or helpful regarding this investigation?
Tully's going to say, I would highlight the fact that my hands are tied by the NDA. So we're looking back at some of these things. Do you have to understand my restrictions at this time? These things were occurring. Thank you.
Well, I mean, if that doesn't sum up the theme of the position he was taking, I don't know what does. I need to emphasize there was an NDA. I need to emphasize I was a sequestered witness. I mean, come on. Come on.
Attorney talk. It's attorney talk. It's
It
attorney
is.
talk.
And I can tell you, it's things like that that really bother me being an attorney because, you know, you have you have a right, you as an audience, as taxpayers, you as constituents up there have a right to know the truth. And I don't like when attorneys get a bad rap. I don't like when it's clear that, we're coaching witnesses on how to navigate through gauntlets of liability. It's something that never sits right with me. That's
Or
why there's
just
lawyer
yeah,
jokes.
or just anywhere. I mean, everybody should have access to this information, via the Freedom of Information Act. There's some people out there that should learn how to use it because maybe it
Yeah.
would, bring in some documents and they can go through it. But, it's funny because I just inquired to a particular police department about some video footage that had been used during a trial, and they're denying it, which is the weirdest thing. They say it's safety and security of the department, and it's like that's already been seen in a trial during a television broadcast. We've seen almost all of the video footage, and they're denying the fact that they're going to give it to me, and we're going to work on an appeal. We're going to work on an appeal, and I want to see the full footage.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm looking forward to working on that appeal with you.
Yeah,
And I also would say on that very subject alone, like there, well, I don't want to put appeal arguments online ahead of
right,
time. But what I
right.
will tell you is if you don't like an answer that you've received from a public entity based on a Freedom of Information Act request or a public records request, don't accept the status quo. Keep challenging it. Ask questions, file appeals, and as we've talked about before, sometimes these entities will issue different responses to different requesters. Look at what's happened with Corey Hopkins, attorney
I was just
Corey
going to bring her name
Hopkins.
up.
Yeah, she's gotten data and information that wasn't even released to another criminal defendant up in that county. And thank God that criminal defendant's attorneys and that defendant were watching and I believe that information might have been passed along to him and them as well. But, you can't always rely upon the fact that this information that is being received is the same as others that are being received. And that's why it's really important that if anyone wants records, they should actually get off their butts and request them themselves instead of
Yeah.
cannibalizing it off of other channels.
Yeah, and Mary says, and I love this because it does kind of make you think about how short the questioning was at the end. She says it almost seems like they took a break off the record because they knew the next set of questions. That's interesting. It's a good thought. It is a good to bring that up.
It is. And one other point on that as well, which is what was asked at the end of that hearing,
Right.
is what's called a catch-all question. Is there anything else you want
Anything
to tell
else?
us?
Do you want to get it out there?
But those catch-all questions it's a double-edged sword. I like asking them because it's a way for me to say, am I missing something? Don't hang me up later and say, well, you never asked,
Yeah.
right? But at the same time, Tully was given an opportunity with that catch-all question to move forward and say, yes, by the way, I know that blah, 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 whatever it is. He didn't. He said, nope, nothing else I want to add. So he could end up with, and I dare say he will end up with egg on his face if he didn't come forward during that proceeding in 2024 with additional information that he had. So I like the fact that he may end up eating his own words someday. And he'll
Yeah.
testify in Karen's civil cases. And if he deviates in any way with how he testified during this proceeding that we just went through, or in Karen's criminal trials, then that's when the attorneys will start to heavily cross-examine and catch him up on inconsistencies and impeach him based on his prior sworn testimony.
Yeah, I love going through this stuff because it really peels back the layers, the onion layers that we always talk about, and it's important to go through this. If we can get the information, it's very important to go through it and let people have the inside the inside scoop of to what was really happening, because we didn't see any of this stuff play out in court. Like this was never brought in. None of this evidence was brought in, and it is on the record, and it is part of this case, and it's very important to go through this stuff. So I appreciate it. I appreciate your time today. 2 hours today during this blizzard that we're having, to come over here and do this. I'm going to get a couple of these out of the way. Georgie, thank you for becoming a new member. I appreciate that. Cat's Pajamas, someone watching for Canada, checking out. Thank you. She says, thanks for obtaining the documents and reading of it and the additional commentary. I appreciate that. That's what we try to do here. D Mart's asking, and I almost said D Fart. D Mart's asking, didn't Corey file a lawsuit and they were not releasing them to her at first? Absolutely.
Yes.
Yep. That's why she started getting all of the information. And what you guys need to do, if you haven't already, I just dropped a link here in the chat. That's to a video that I released earlier. So now that you've watched this, go check that out, because it adds a lot of context to the things that we went through and discussed today. And that, that was really important. I broke down those EES reports, and it will give more context now hearing, this testimony to that video. And Georgie says, $2. Thank you so much for the two. It says, new sub member here. Don't understand veneer comments. It's a long story. It's a long story.
Yeah. By the way, that link that you just posted.
Yeah.
I would really strongly encourage anyone in the chat to, if you feel motivated, share it on your social media, because it's really good. I think it's about 9-minute video where Brian gives like a lot of great insight on what we've been talking about today, and really what's coming in the near future as well. And it kind of grows exponentially. People start sharing that. It's not enough for Brian to share it. If you take a step and share it, then that person who receives it will share it and share it. So if you feel inclined to do so, I would greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, post it on your X accounts, your Facebook accounts, wherever you need to post it. I'll leave the link for it down in the comment section. So if you're watching this, on a replay or whatever, you can check out that video as well too. Look, we're gonna have a Pats game here in about a half an hour. I'm gonna wrap this one up. I'm gonna go out and brush my car off before, so I can get some of the snow off here before it's like umpteen high on my car, and I don't have the ability to do that. But look, I hope everybody remains safe. Charge up all your, your batteries and your backup systems, because we may lose power, in your area. Please stay warm. If you need help or whatever, call your local, police department, fire department, or a family friend or family member. Please stay safe. Don't go outside. Don't drive. It's just not a good idea. I want everybody to be safe and come back to the chat and hang out with us again. Nan, any final comments before we go? And we'll end this. I guess, testimony. Any final comments before we go?
No final comments. I would simply wish everybody who's in the Northeast to be safe. Make sure you've grabbed your essentials. If you haven't, it's probably too late now. Hunker down, stay warm, consume good content from good, honorable content creators. And if anyone wants more on this subject, you're definitely buckle up, because Brian has received a lot of information.
Yeah,
recently.
we're going to go through it. It just takes me time to go through it. It's to digest and go through it. I wish I had all day. I wish this was my full-time job. I really do. But it takes sometimes time for me to go through it. I have, a career and a life, outside of YouTube. And, I try to get out as much as I can right away. And I have tons of other things that should be coming here pretty soon. And we'll go through that as well too. Law Talkers, thank you so much. Thank you, Brian, Nan. We care and appreciate you. Natalie says, thank you both. Be warm. I appreciate you. Thank you for all the super chats today, the new members that came in, the Cash App that came through. I appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know. So that's going to be it. We're going to roll out of here. I'll hit the outro here in a second. Please make sure oral health is super important. Toothbrush, toothpaste, mouthwash, dental floss. It's super, super important. But that's going to be it. Thank you, everybody. It's been a while since we live streamed. This felt pretty good to get out and do this on a snowy day. And Nan's beautiful smile on camera as we go out. So
thank you.
All right, everybody, we're out of here. I'll talk to everybody soon. Bye.